Hey everyone. Okay, so the next concept we're going to be covering is merchandising math. Okay, so it's math that we'll learn about from shopping. So you can see here that in chapter 3, we're going to be looking specifically at the markups and the markdowns, and we're also going to be dealing with sales tax. Okay, so in this chapter, you're going to learn the language of marketers or business people in general. And a lot of these topics we're actually going to learn even more about once we get into the accounting portion of this course. But we're going to look at product costs. So if you are a business and you are buying something to resell, looking around my desk, I see a coffee cup. So say we sell coffee cups. So we need to buy those coffee cups from a supplier, okay? And whatever that supplier charges us, that's going to be the product cost, okay? Then there's going to be expenses. We're going to have other expenses in our business, such as maybe we have a storefront, so a building, so we have to pay for all of the expenses, whether it's rent or whether it's interest on our mortgage. We have to pay salaries or wages to our employees. We have to pay for the lights. We have to pay for different types of insurances, on and on and on and on and on. And all of those expenses, as well as the product costs, need to be covered by the price that we charge our customer. So therefore, when we figure out what our product cost is, so say our supplier is charging us $2 for a mug, we need to figure out what percentage we're going to mark up that mug to come up with our selling price. So maybe we're going to mark up that mug by 100%. So if we buy the mug for $2, we mark it up 100%, that's another $2, then our actual selling price is going to be $4. Okay? Then we're going to look at markdowns, and markdowns is what we all enjoy, the sales. So whether it's an end of season, it's now, as you know, unfortunately, the end of summer. So there's a lot of summer stuff in the stores that has been marked down. So maybe it's regular $10, marked down 50%. So therefore half of it has been discounted. So now we can buy it for $5. But ultimately we need to make sure that with our markups and even our markdowns, we need to make sure that the company is profitable. We need to make sure that in the end, all of our expenses are covered and that there is a net income. You'll hear that phrase, net income, a lot more once we get into accounting, but we need to make sure that there is a net income. So your sales minus all of your expenses gives a positive number at the end, and therefore you are profitable. Okay, so let's look at an analogy. So, as many of us do, we stand in line at Starbucks. We look at I'll round it up, $5 cup of coffee. Is it worth it? You're wondering, well, we know that it didn't cost them $5 to buy the beans. So why is it marked up so much? Then you notice the color scheme on the walls, the comfortable seating, the high-end machinery behind the counter, the espresso machines and such. And of course, the well-trained barista who is making this coffee for us. And all of that adds expenses to the cost associated with the coffee. So therefore, where did the money to pay for all of this stuff come from? You smile and you realize your $5 macchiato is not just covering the cost of the beans, but all of the other expenses associated. Okay, so with that in mind, The process of taking a product's cost and increasing it by some amount to arrive at a selling price is called the markup. This process is critical to business success because every business must ensure that it does not lose money when it makes a sale. Okay, so let's go over a couple of examples. You own a sweater business. You can buy a sweater from your supplier for $25. You figure out that to cover all of your business expenses, such as, and we talked about it earlier, could be wages, insurance, it could be the cost of electricity, the cost of your cash register or your electronic equipment that you use to ring up the sale, and so on. You need to increase or mark up the price by 50%. Okay, so how do we do this? So the steps: start with the cost, convert the markup percentage to a decimal because it's so much easier to put it in our calculator when we can do that. Multiply the cost by the decimal, add them together to get the selling price. So let's look at the example. Here we go. So we start with the cost, which is $25. Convert the markup percentage to a decimal, so 50%. We want to turn it into a decimal, so we move the decimal place 2 places to the left or divide it by 100. So then once we've got the markup, which is 0.50, we multiply that by the cost. So that gives us $12.50 is our markup. Then we add them together to get the selling price. So $25 is the cost plus the markup of $12.50 gives us a selling price of $37.50. Okay, so we are missing something, that thing that we don't like when they add it on at the teller. We have HST. So back in April of this year, our HST in Nova Scotia actually went from 15% down to 14%. So let's start at step 4 again. We know what the selling price is, which is $37.50. Now we have to figure what the HST is. So we take the selling price, multiply it by the 14% or 0.14 after we turn it into a decimal, and that gives us $5.25 is our HST. Then we add that to the selling price, $37.50 plus $5.25 gives us $42.75 as the amount it's going to cost the customer to walk out the door with that sweater. Okay, so here's one I'd like you to give a try, and I will create a video after this primary one to go over the answers. And in this one here, you're going to buy a turtle. Okay, so now we've got markups, but then, like I said before, we've also got markdowns. And that is when something goes on sale because they're trying to get it out of the store or entice customers in to make some big purchases. So, flashy sign in a retail store announces 40% off today only. Excitedly, you purchase 3 items. One that's $100, one that's $250, one that's $150. The cashier processes the transaction and says your total is $325. You're about to hand over your credit card when something tells you something is wrong. So you do a quick calculation yourself. The 100 plus the 250 plus the 150 is $500. 40% off $500. So if you take 500, multiply by 0.40, you should receive a $200 reduction. So you should be only paying $300. You mention this to the cashier apologizes and makes the correction. Okay, so a markdown is a reduction from from the regular selling price of an item that results in a lower price. The lower price is called the sale price, and to distinguish it from the selling price. Okay, so the selling price is your regular price. The sale price is the price when it's been lowered, when the discount has been applied. Okay, so we want to buy that sweater. Okay, so that sweater, as we figured out before HST, was $37.50. But now it's end of season and they're 20% off. How much is the markdown and how much do you need to pay? Okay, so we start with the selling price and convert the markdown to a decimal. Okay, so we figure out that the decimal is 0.20. Multiply the price by the percentage, that gives us $7.50 off. Then we've got $37.50 minus $7.50 to give us $30. 30 multiplied by your 0.14 for your HST gives you $4.20. $30 plus $4.20 is $34.20 is the amount that you're going to pay at the checkout. Okay, so here's another practice question related to turtles. Okay, so the store has too many turtles in stock, so they're going to mark them down 25%. And the required is how much you need to pay to take this turtle home. And yes, we have to pay HST on the turtles. Make sure to show me all the steps. Hope this helps. Give those two a try, and I am going to create a separate video going over the solution for those two sample questions. Thanks, everyone.